morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Andrew Kaplan, who goes by Andrew Cap, which gets a little confusing. But hi, Andrew. How are you today?
Hey, Kathy, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. The whole Kaplan thing's pretty simple. There was an Andrew Kaplan already publishing on books, and I didn't want to inadvertently cannibalize his sales, and I wanted to make it easy. So if people search for Andrew Cap, K-A-P, they just find me much easier on
Well,
Amazon.
and it's perfect because when I think of you, I have a picture of you without a cap. But I
Mm.
don't know what it's sort of like, where is he? I need your hand. I need your cap. So it's
Yeah,
kind of easy to, so that's my association. I need those little tricks to.
yeah, and poorly coincidental since my name is spelled also differently than the way you spell Cap. So it's
That's
all
okay.
spelling confusions all around just to keep people on their toes.
No, but I mean, seriously, when I've watched you do other shows after you've been on my show, and I enjoyed you so much that I was helping comment on the YouTube on the excuse me Facebook feeds, and it was like, "Hey, Andrew, where's your hat?" So
So I
it's
keep
cool.
people
It's really
guessing. I try, I really enjoy the hats, and I don't think we've ever had this conversation before. Part of the thing is you want to be intentional about being there and reliable for your audience, and part of that means making yourself easy to spot. So the cap, stylistically, it's more like, when people are scrolling through YouTube, they might see a thumbnail, and if they're familiar with me, it just might help them find me more easily. So I like this style of hat, and I'm just making myself easier to spot.
yep.
And also, I realize that it's very, not that there's a typical law of attraction look, but this certainly is not if there was one. So I know people are like, Is this dude serious? Like, does he have something significant to say?" So sometimes I surprise people. They see me for the first time. They haven't heard me speak before, and then I'll say something like, "Okay, that's an interesting paradigm shift." So there's a bit of a pattern interrupt, which I think if I can catch someone off guard, it's like a spoiler alert, so I won't get your audience off guard now. But if I can catch someone off guard a little bit in a beneficial way, it helps the information anchor to them much more easily, and they can really get a lot more benefit out of it.
Perfect, perfect. That's what I think what happens with you, and I want to really compliment you, is that you have gotten more and more and more visible and more famous and more successful, and you're still this peaceful, loving guy
Thank you.
that doesn't it's not an ego because some guys like they have to be tough guys like you were in the wrestling you were an intern in the wrestling business so you saw that whole tough guy facade and you're the opposite. You're like, hey, I'm a regular dude. I discovered something that turned my life around and I want to share it. So do you
Thank
want
you.
to share that story about how you discovered um the your well, first of all, we didn't mention your book. Andrew wrote a book. Can you scoot your
Absolutely. In fact, because that's the big one. You can see, even though I like to think myself as a humble guy, I've got this huge poster wall. But rather than throw up the balance of the
okay,
camera to
thank
make
you.
sure I'm looking for most of it, but here's
Okay,
a nice, good look
perfect.
at
Okay,
my book. And this is
okay.
actually, I'm really excited about this one because this is the new hardcover. It's been available in hardcover for maybe a month and a half now. Before that, it was paperback, it was Kindle, it was audiobook. But when the resources were discovered for me to make it a hardcover, no dust jacket, I was very excited because I know some people just like that. I like to give people as many options as they want for enjoying whatever I have to offer.
Now I know what I'm giving for Christmas. So the so the last law of attraction book you'll ever need is a inspired creation, which I think it's a download personally,
Thank you.
that Andrew gave us, and it's been a 2-year journey that I know of, maybe longer. But could you talk about how you came to write this book?
Oh, absolutely. At this point, it's closer to a 17-year journey, and
Wow.
I would hope that I have something interesting to say. When you title a book, the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read. Hopefully, with that kind of an ambitious claim, hopefully I've got something to back it up
Yes.
to try to not make a short story too long or a long story too much longer, I I discovered law of attraction back in 2004 when, and I was a couple of years removed from interning for World Wrestling Entertainment. It was actually the World Wrestling Federation back then. That's how far back we go on that.
Wow. Okay.
And I'd made the decision, I'm going to run my own business, I'm going to run my own company. Had nothing to do with what I'm doing here, and I was just looking for the answers, the answers to success, the answers to happiness, which I think anyone's doing, but more so people that are entrepreneurs or salespeople. They often find very easy access to positive modalities, positive thinking, things of that nature.
Mhm.
For me, law of attraction was one modality of many that I was just perusing, investigating, looking into.
Mhm.
And to be candid, it was very hit and miss for me. I had some wins, I had some losses, I had some successes, I had some failures. And I kind of viewed the law of attraction as being very inconsistent.
Uh-huh.
And I would discover probably around 4 years later that it was me who was inconsistent, because 2008 rolls around. And at this point, obviously, it's been 4 years of reading books and trying programs and experimenting with law of attraction techniques, or as I like to call them, manifestation methods. And things had kind of gotten to the point where they were so bad that I lost my business and my girlfriend of 3 years all within the same week. Which, I mean, wow, one of those alone is enough to knock someone
Yeah.
out. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
3 days after closing my company, she didn't even break up in person or even over phone. She broke up over text. That's how
Oh,
bad things were. And
yeah.
I had to take a really hard look in the mirror. I was like, Andrew, what are you doing? Like, where you've wasted your 20s, you're going nowhere. Like, what's happening? And I had this very weird simultaneous epiphany and moment of indignation,
Uh-huh.
where it's like, I was look back on those past years and like, whenever I did that law of attraction thing, it would start to work. And before I stopped, it was working. And I kind of like had this recognition that I would stop, which was one of the things I wanted to address in my book. But at this point, I'm like, I'm angry enough. I'm like, you know what? I don't care what happens. I don't care when it happens. I don't care how it happens. I don't care why it happens. I don't care about any of that. I am going all in with this once and for all, and I'm going to stop stopping. And all in doesn't mean all day, every day, because as angry as I was, I also had learned enough about myself and about human nature to know that all day, every day is not sustainable. However, since 5 or 10 minutes a day had been working when I wasn't stopping, that's
Uh-huh.
what I was going to do. 5 or 10 minutes of gratitude methods, visualization methods, scripting, whatever it might be, and see what happens. And once I made that decision, it was almost like a movie, because like 2 weeks later, I felt better, which I think anyone with a broken heart would say that's saying something.
Yes.
3 months later, I'm in a brand new, way healthier relationship. 4 months later, I'm making more money than at any point in my life before then. And 6 months later, everything's better. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm waking up happy, fulfilled, grateful. I basically learned the hard way, and we don't have to learn it the hard way, but we often do. I
Mm.
learned that this thing, and we'll call it the law of attraction, it works when you work it. And then I kind of went about my life, and it wasn't until 2019 where I was kind of like taking a new, just, I was kind of like looking at my values and saying, listen, I want to start a new business. But what can I do where, to be candid, I'm not going to lose my patience or get frustrated interacting with customers. I'm actually going to be happy to hear from them and interact with them. What about my life that I haven't really shared publicly? I'm like, well, this huge thing in my life, law of attraction. But then I
Mhm.
go, all right, there aren't even hundreds of law of attraction books. There's like 1,000. Do I really have something new to offer? Because putting out another book just for the sake of putting out another book doesn't serve me or anyone else. So I basically had to think about this and like, can I give myself permission to add something new? And can I make this bold promise and actually live up to it? Because on
Yeah.
the surface, I'll toot my own horn. This is a brilliant title in the sense that it's going to get people curious to click and buy it.
Mhm.
However, it is not a brilliant title if you can't back it up, because if you
Right.
get a whole bunch of people to buy it and the book is bad, then you're going to get killed in reviews and then they're going to stop buying. I had to make this bold promise, not only to my audience, but to myself, this bold commitment, knowing that I have to live up to it in order for this to be successful. And thankfully, the reviews are on the overwhelmingly side positive. And I think it's because I basically addressed all the ways that I had gotten in my own way in terms of trying to figure out this law of attraction thing. And I had this realization through studying and learning other things, that the more personal a problem is, the more universal it is. Which is why I kind of I thought to myself logically, if I can solve this for myself the same ways I'm getting in my own way, the same aspects of human nature, unless I'm crazy, but from a normal person, that's affecting everybody else. Even if I'm crazy, it's affecting it. Like, doesn't matter. Everyone's affected in the same way. Let
Yes.
me address that, and that will speak to everyone else ideally and hopefully help them solve the ways that they're getting in their own way.
Right, right. But well, there's 2 or 3 or 4 things that I could pull out from all of that.
Or
One,
20, because I know I said a lot.
well, well, the authentic you is showing up, and that's the beauty of your offering. I think that and I said that I started to talk about your wearing a cap, but I mean, you have a book that shows a pathway to success that is usable and authentic, and you show up as the authentic representation. So that it helps us in so many ways because we can just model you.
Thank you.
It's really, yeah, you're really amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I appreciate you, Kathy. Thank
Yes,
you. That's, you know, hear something like that, you really take it to heart. And I mean that. Like for me, I look at sales numbers. I used to look every day. Now I look almost every day, and I think it's easy to look at things as numbers and easy to hear words as words, but those numbers represent an actual human being that's investing their time, their energy, and their trust in this, which
right,
bowls me over. And by that same token, I'm a huge proponent of, like, if someone says something, I don't just gloss over it. So
right.
thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that.
Cool. Okay, so I have followed Abraham for a very long time. I just discovered or rediscovered Seth. I don't know
Mhm.
if you're familiar with that.
I am.
Jane Roberts. Okay. So basically, what your work did was created a way for me to actually implement. Because the other things are, sure, I realize that somehow, at some level, I'm projecting my reality out of this thought form. But I don't, I mean, okay, so I created that mess, but I'm not even aware of um, my ego protecting me from whatever it thinks is not good for me and creating this mess.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's when you follow the law of attraction books, where they say, well, all of it, all the metaphysical learning is you create it all, but you don't like what you've created, then the variable is you. So it's inner work time. But what you've offered is a step-by-step 90-day, and it starts changing much sooner than 90 days, but a 90-day process that can allow you to get out of your own way and reprogram yourself without the shame and blame. See, that's what I think gets people get caught in, that shame and blame side. Like in 2008, you had all sorts of things happen. So did I. I lost a bunch of my clients with the economic thing. I had
Mhm.
to retool also. It's like, uh-oh.
That was a big year for a lot of people, and a rough, and basically a year for where 2009 became the comeback year for a lot of people.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, but it's also recreating. So
Yes.
it's so you assess, and I think the reason why I was really excited about having you on now is that I think that this message is so perfect for everyone starting out 2022. I believe 2022 is going to be great, but it's a mindset. It's not just, oh, the government's going to give another check, or or the outside is going to affect me and support me. It's all this. It's all inside.
Mhm.
Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think for people that are looking at their New Year's resolutions, or whether they're going to do a vision board, how does a 90-day process with your book work?
Mhm. So, especially in today's world, there's a lot of static. There's a lot of noise. Whether we're talking about, the current geopolitical situation, or we're talking about the fixed programming of New Year's resolutions, which, by the way, the whole New Year's resolution thing, there's a positive intent behind it, but there's a negative unintended consequence. The negative unintended consequence of a New Year's resolution is 2 weeks into the new year. If you stop, now you feel like you failed, and you tell yourself you have to wait a whole nother year.
Oh,
So, I mean, think about that. How many times have people gone to the gym and they quit after 7 days? And then they don't, maybe they think about it as the summer approaches, but they're like, oh no. And then another year passes by and they do the same thing over and over again. It's very interesting to hear you, you mentioned Seth, you mentioned Abraham. I think the awesome thing about Abraham, um, if you pay close attention, is Abraham in their own way from all these different angles and answering all these people's different questions, and sometimes even giving more information than I feel is required. They're just telling people to find a way to feel good.
right.
And the thing about it is because I don't think there's anything wrong with looking within or trying to do like inner work or shadow work or anything like that. All I'm saying is, especially anchoring on something like Abraham, abundance is there. They talk about downstream. And what
Yeah.
I basically try to do through my content and through the presentation of my content is let me show you without, and inner work, that's up to you. Shadow work, that's up to you. Let me show you an easy way of feeling good for 5 minutes a day, because I know that if you can successfully do that and you can consistently do that, things will auto correct for you. The shadow work that you may choose to do, you'll do it from a level of more agency, or you might determine that you don't need to because it's being done for you. Everyone's different, right? So when I talk about like, a 90-day journey, and like I have a program called Gravity the Cosmos, and I'm very careful to tell people, like, I make it reasonably affordable. I say, you can do it, but you don't need to. Basically, my book has all these methods which you can either follow to the letter or you can tweak them. And the whole point of my program is for people that can't keep up with it, they can't get themselves through it. The program's me emailing them every day with a little lesson, guiding them through the methods, just for the sake of giving them consistency. And that's what this is all about. This is all about whether it's my book or my program or someone else's book, someone else's program, my YouTube, someone else's YouTube. This is just about finding a way of feeling good for 5 minutes a day, with the understanding and the acceptance that something that you define as negative might still happen later on in the day, but you say, you know what, that's just temporary. That's residual old thought patterns. You feel good for 5 minutes a day and you do that consistently, and you energetically continue to go up. You go up to the point, and by the way, you don't go like this, you go like this. Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, so that, a month from now, a down is still better than an older up. And all this is about is finding a way for, and I would say, 90 days or 30 days or 120 days. It's just the more you do it, the better it gets, but it should be something that's easy and enjoyable in the beginning, and just as easy and just as enjoyable 100 days later, 500 days later. The thing about this should never be a commitment. This should never be a chore. It has to be a choice. The whole reason I say it's 5 minutes is because even if you love it, we don't have time to do an hour, and we don't need to. This is something where you should look forward to it every single day, not be overwhelmed, and not be something where it's a hindrance. It shouldn't be something that's inconvenient. It should be just an added part of your day that it's leveraging into so much more for you.
So you, I want to go to how people can have the discipline to, because it's really self-love.
Mm-hmm.
What this is giving yourself the opportunity to be all you can be by loving yourself enough to pick to pick something that really feeds your soul, rather than actually makes you smaller. It
Right.
reduces your effectiveness. How did you work on the commitment of it? Because that's the other part of what I find is, my audience here are they're incredible change makers. They're really dedicated to others, and they give a lot of themselves to others. And what I'm hoping that they're going to see is that this is a gift they give themselves by getting your book and following your process.
Right,
But
right.
what'll keep them on track?
So
What?
there's a couple of questions in there. I want to start with this. There's two ways of giving. There's giving in a way that fills you up, and there's giving in a way that depletes you. And I
Ah,
think it's very important, if you're a giver, because I'm a giver also, it's very important to be cognizant and be able to identify, because everyone knows that old example where you're on an airplane and they say the masks drop. You've got to put yours on first.
right.
And you put yours on first so that you can help other people, because if you don't put yours on first, if you're lucky, you could help one or two people. But if you put yours on first, you could help the three people in front of you, the three people behind you, the two people to the sides of you. You benefit the world more by taking care of yourself. You put yourself in a position to serve the world more by serving yourself, by not depleting yourself. So I want to make sure to introduce that perspective first.
Perfect, perfect.
To answer your question, well, how do you stay committed? How do you stay consistent? Well, for me, remember, my life hit this wall, and it's not required. It's not required that you hit rock bottom.
Good.
Although I will say that sometimes if life slaps you really hard in the face, that becomes your motivating factor to stick with it just long enough to get a result for 10 days, 20, 30, whatever it might be, but also just a big enough why. I think if you have a big enough why, whether you're angry or not, and you have just enough trust and faith just to try it, then you're on your way. But here's how we compound it. We do this by saying, again, it's only 5 minutes a day, and we do something that we enjoy. The
Right.
reason I'm such a big proponent of gratitude is because even if I'm lying or deluded about the law of attraction, studies have shown that gratitude improves sleep, it increases confidence, it reduces anxiety, it lowers blood pressure, it helps create a more resilient mindset. So someone doing 5 minutes of being grateful for stuff in their life, even if they don't get a manifestation on the end of it, they're winning right then and there. But if they do it long enough and then a result comes, once you get that life experience, because you could read all the books in the world, and I hope they read my book, but they can read all the books in the world, they can watch all the videos in the world, and I hope they need to watch my videos. You can do all that, but until you have the life experience of it actually happening, it's still intellectual at some point. It isn't experiential, but once it's experiential, once you get one manifestation on that, nobody could ever take it away from you, and then you know, and then you're motivated on a higher level to keep doing it. Now I want to speak to, I know I'm speaking a lot here. I want one little thing I want to note here,
Perfect.
because I'm judging by the fact that your audience does something, they're go-getters. They might be doing a lot of methods every single day, or just a method every single day. For a really long time, they're not getting anything out of it. I want to address why. Because again, I've been just as guilty. The
Okay.
reason a lot of people do these manifesting methods and they don't get what they want, and then they're half-hearted, and then maybe they quit, maybe they come back, it's an endless cycle, is because they're doing the method to get the result. And to which you say, well, of course, Andrew, why else would I do the method than to get the result? What are you talking about? What's going on underneath that hat of yours? So here's the thing. If you're doing the method to get the result, you don't realize it, but you are inadvertently sending out the consciousness and the recognition that you don't have what you want. You're focusing on the lack of it, which is instructing the universe to maintain that. Whereas the solution is to do the method for the sake of enjoying the method. And then without worrying about the result, without worrying about the speed of the result, without worrying about the way in which the result comes to you, without any of that, just enjoying it, just feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, that's sending out the vibration to the universe. So it's a counterintuitive thing. It's almost like a ninja trick move, like a judo move, where rather than trying to force it into place, you just focus on feeling good while thinking about those things. And then the universe will put people in front of you. It'll put circumstances, opportunities. And by the way, you'll take action. It'll give you inspired ideas. You
Good.
won't take action out of a lackful mindset. You will take action out of an inspired mindset. This was not easy. I did it for 9.5 weeks, which I mean, I guess saying a lot, 200 pages in 9.5 weeks. But I woke up really early. I stayed up till 4 a.m. a lot. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. And I was committed because I was inspired. That idea, and I was inspired because I was doing methods and I was looking for an answer. And then boom, it occurred to me, let's do law of attraction. Boom, it occurred to me, give myself permission to do something different and new. And I went with it. So you're going to work hard, you're going to do stuff, but you're going to love it all by focusing consistently and letting things unfold for you, letting ideas unfold for you.
That's so perfect, perfect. And it's perfect conversation for right now because I think that people are weary. I think that this whole time period has been it's like, are we done yet? uh,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And this is a way for you to really look at your life and be, you brought up gratitude. The book, Andrew's book is a lot about gratitude and the practice of claiming the gratitude and appreciation that you have for the things that you do delight with in your life can bring more. That's what the attraction is, right?
Yeah. You're strategically feeling good because, well, one, so you could enjoy your life in the moment,
Uh,
because even when you get the things that you want, spoiler alert, you're going to want more anyway. So you basically want to figure out how to be as content and grateful in the meantime, because technically in the meantime is your entire life.
yeah,
But also, besides strategically, it's like, who doesn't want to just enjoy their life? Like, aren't we done waiting? And I realize life's not perfect for me either. but do I really want to wait for that new car or that bigger house or whatever it might be before I can finally give myself permission to be happy? Because the words "I'll be happy when" are wonderful words, but horrible to put in that order. You never want to put those four words together, "I'll be happy when," because the fifth word is never if you do
Right,
that.
right,
So it's
right.
really important to like, listen, let me enjoy life in the meantime. And by the way, especially since your audience wants is, in service to others, a very important strategic thing in my view that you can do, especially where we are in the world today, is meditate on light entering your body and then sharing it with the world, because that meditation is filling you up,
Mhm.
but it's also putting out the energy of positivity in the world. So you're serving everyone, everyone's winning. So if you really want to serve people, a nice simple 5-minute meditation, drawing light through the ether, through the sun, through the universe, through the earth, through whatever source, and then you breathe it in, and then you have so much abundance that you breathe it out and you send it out into the world.
Right.
That alone is making a huge difference, because it's taking you out of fear, it's taking you out of lack, it's taking you out of impatience, uncertainty, doubt, and it's putting you in abundance, it's putting you in joy and love, and it's putting you in the mindset that you want to be.
That was perfect for me to hear and for everyone. So I want to also make sure that everyone understands the gold mine that you have on your YouTube channel,
Mm,
because people search for motivational videos and, hey, what do I need to as a reminder? And Andrew has, and if you go to YouTube and put Andrew Cap in there, you'll be able to find his YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to it, you'll be able to get notification when he has new ones up. But Andrew, I wanted to ask about your YouTube channel as far as your commitment to it, because
mm,
that's amazing. I mean, you have great content there, and you've been committed to adding more on a regular basis. So you're, it's not just entertainment; it's value add. How did you get started using YouTube? And this is a great example for the people that are watching this as well to use YouTube. That
mm.
way for them. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as soon as the book came out, it was always in my mind to do YouTube. And again, like, I try to practice what I preach, but I'm not perfect. I should have launched YouTube in April of 2020, and technically I didn't launch it until July. And it's because I was dragging my feet and I was putting too much pressure on myself because I wanted it to be perfect. And because when you're writing a book and you don't like the words, you can just move them around before you publish.
Right.
But when you're recording something, you've got ums, you've got likes, you have different inflection points. Can't just edit that and make it perfect. I mean, the recording's the recording. You can do a little editing, but only so much. You can even see, if you watch my early videos, you'll see that I actually scripted them. You'll notice the inflection of my voice. You'll notice my delivery. I'm reading off a teleprompter. And
Ah,
I quickly said, you know what, this is not working. I mean, I care so much about getting the message, but you know what? The book is for my perfect execution of the message. The YouTube is for my imperfect execution of the message. And I did something over this summer, which it's kind of crazy thinking back on. I gave myself a 100-day challenge. I did 100 consecutive days of publishing brand new content every single day. And there was an artistic vision behind it, because for me, recording, for me, putting a video up, it means recording for 30 or 40 minutes and then editing it for hours to whittle it down to 10 quality minutes. And to do that for 100 consecutive days, I'll be honest, it was not fun. So I broke my own rules about like always doing something in joy, but I'd made this commitment and wanted to follow through. And by day 30, I was kind of over it, but like, no, I'm doing the rest of this. And here's the reason I did it. And I revealed this on day 100. The whole artistic vision is because I'm the guy that keeps telling people 5 minutes a day of something that you actually enjoy. So I basically showed up every day for 100 straight days as a statement of, if I can do this, if I can grind out 40 minutes of recording and then 2 hours or sometimes 10 hours of editing for
oh,
100 days, there should be nothing stopping you from 5 minutes a day of something you actually enjoy.
right.
That was the vision. That was the whole point. And since then, I haven't been doing 100 straight videos. I mean, I'm putting stuff out, but I'm a little bit slower. But I was very intentional because I wanted that on YouTube as something where if people found my channel and they looked at the data that they was published, like, whoa, Andrew showed up for he actually showed up for 102 days. Wow. And I didn't tell people I was doing 100 days until day 90. Like from the beginning, I knew I was going to do it. And I told a couple of close friends, but every so often I'd be like, hey, guess what? This is the 30th consecutive video. Hey guys, this is day 55. Hey guys, we're up to day 71. It wasn't until day 90 where I'm like, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. This is gonna be 100 days. Because I didn't want people waiting. I want it to be something where it was almost like a reveal. Where like, oh wow, Andrew has been doing this, showing up every single day. Okay, this clicks. I can do 5 minutes of gratitude every day. I can do 5 minutes of scripting or visualization.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, by going to your channel, and it doesn't matter where you start on your channel, you can be uplifted and change your frequency right away. I
Thank
mean,
you.
in a very short, it's a gold mine for
Thank
people.
you. And
Seriously.
I'll tell you, Kathy, I mean, I think sometimes it becomes inspirational, but my goal isn't inspiration. My goal is strategy. My goal is I want to give people now, obviously you could see me, I raise my voice, I get really excited, so it becomes an inspirational thing.
Yeah,
But the intent through the videos is to give people a simple and strategic, user-friendly avenue into this. Because I don't want to badmouth other books, but there are certain books where there is a lack of clarity. The ideas are the same. I'm not this brand new revelation.
yeah,
I like to think and I like to hope that the difference in my book is in the articulation of the ideas,
yeah.
in the presentation of the content so that it's user
Usability.
friendly. But I
Mhm.
mean, the ideas are feel good, right? But some books inadvertently make things more complicated. They tell you, okay, you've got to do step one, and then you have to do step two, and then you have to wait to do step three. And if you don't do that, you're wrong, and you're not going to get what you want. I'm like, no, no. Here's some methods, and you can follow them to the letter if that's your personality and they'll work. But if you don't like them the way they are, you could tweak them in any way you wish, so long as you're feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both. That's the whole point. That's all we're worried about. Everything else, I'm a guide, the guide maybe, but you're the boss. And everyone, in my opinion, is their own guru. That's why I don't have. And again, no offense to anyone does. I don't take people like on a long thing where they gotta work with me because they can if they want, but I don't want them to feel like they have to, like because the book gets them there.
Right,
Not the grab the 90-day program, it gets them there. And they if they want to work with me or anyone else at that, fine, but they've got to do it from an empowered level where they can see that they can do this.
right, right. And you've gotten so many incredible testimonials about people that have done it, have spent the 90 days, or I imagine even after 30 days. So right now, people could start this right now, and by February, the end of February, have a whole new experience with life, right?
I would hope. I would hope. And I don't, everyone's going to have their own perspective. Some people have dramatic changes and some people have subtle and some people have a combination. I had one person that I interviewed her on my channel because she started on day one and she emailed me on day 87 out of 90. And she's like, Andrew, when I started this, I thought I was going to lose my job. Everything's going downhill. And
Uh,
now I not a month goes by where I don't bring at least $100,000 of revenue in through my sales job. Now, that's not a guarantee that's going to happen for everybody, but it's just a
right,
wonderful demonstration of the things that can happen. And
right.
someone else might have a different dramatic leap financially, or in their relationships, or in their health, or all of a combination. And again, I mean, check me out, check my book, but you don't even need me as long as you find a way of doing this every single. The co key is find a way to do this every single day. That's where you're served. And by the way, Kathy, I mean, I'm not sure, all the things that you offer. You is a tremendous resource. I mean, the
Yeah,
fact that they're linked up to you. I mean, knowing what I know about you, I highly recommend you in any way that you are serving
yeah,
people. If anyone can still get that from you,
yeah.
like what a resource. And again, I'm not blowing smoke. You
Yeah, you
guys, I
are.
mean, you
Yeah, you
should
are,
do
but thanks.
like you know your stuff
Yeah.
and the warmth that you exude. I think that can't go understated because to give you credit, when you could exude that kind of warmth, you are even on a subconscious level, you're giving people a level of space and permission
Mm.
to move forward in what they're doing, and that can't be understated. And that's also another thing I recommend for people, whether it's Kathy, whether it's me, or anyone else. Find that container, find that space where you're like, listen, I feel good about this. I don't feel overwhelmed. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to go with the flow because you know what? For the past 10 years, I've been trying to force it and it's been 10 years. So the worst thing I can do is lose another month, try and get it in a different, easier way. At worst, it's just another month. But maybe I will pleasantly surprise myself by bringing a new attitude of ease and unattachment to it just to see what happens.
Well, I always tell my clients that I'm working with, doing consulting or marketing work, that people are buying your energy. And I mean, they want the results, but they really want to work with you because of your energy level and your frequency. And so it's really important to do this self work, and so that you can be in service at that high level, because when you're in appreciation, it's such a different perspective rather than high critical thought, because there's lots of people that you're around, especially now, that are really critical. There's polarity in thought, the political systems in polarity, everything's in polarity right now. And if you don't want to get into that debate, which I don't. I don't see that that's how I best serve. I'd rather be a solution through to the higher knowing and to the higher outcome, because I really think we're in a huge time of transition, and 2022 is going to be fantastic, you guys.
Hmm.
And we need everybody to show up completely as their highest knowing, in appreciation for themselves and what they've already created, so that more of the good stuff can come in. And this isn't hard work. This is this is like, you want peace in the world, bring it on, right? You just appreciate the piece you have, or appreciate your animals, or appreciate, the love that you have in your experience. If you want more, you appreciate, and show a generosity of spirit towards that, and more will come, right?
Yeah, yeah. People overwhelmingly are conditioned, whether purposely or inadvertently, conditioned to see themselves as insignificant or unworthy or ineffectual.
Mhm.
And if everyone, I don't care who you are, if you only knew the impact and power that you have,
Right.
and like imagine if you and everyone else at the same time just made a decision of, well, let's see how potent and powerful I am. Just to see as an experiment, you would be floored. And not only is 2022, in my view, a really important year, 2023, 2024, and possibly 2025, I think are going to, all these years are going to be like nothing people have ever expected,
Right.
or anticipated. But we are all at a point of cause where we can make our own decision of, like, these are going to be powerful years no matter what. Do you want them powerful in a good way or a bad way? Because there's no escaping that they're going to be powerful. There's no escaping that there's going to be an intensity. There's going to be intensity that you can't get away from. There's going to be ice cream. It's up to you to choose the flavor.
Right.
Choose the flavor of ice cream because you're getting it no matter what.
That's so perfect. That's so perfect. And the power that you spoke of, we are more powerful than we have any concept of knowing. And our imagination is what has created all of this. So if we go from the stepping stones of, I imagined my life right now, um, and I think that's the break that's happened in the past 2 years, a year and a half, is
Mm,
that we had a vision of what live happily ever after might have looked like, and now everything's changed. And you have to reimagine, and use your creative mind to imagine the next level. Well, that that's a whole opportunity for joy. So joy's co-creation with the law of attraction is imagination of, like you saying, okay, I'm going to imagine that I can do this, um, do YouTubes for 100 days. And then you did it.
yeah.
So until you imagined that, it was just a thought form.
And I did some wacky stuff, by the way. I did a video later on about it, knowing that I was going to do this. And again, I was an intern for WWE. Um, I I found the belt maker who makes the actual belts for WWE,
Really?
which is another way of saying he's a little expensive. And I designed a belt and I commissioned a belt in celebration of me doing it, and I ordered it like a third of the way through, and it was basically my own little reward for completing this. It'll just be a cool thing, and I did a video on it, and I don't have it in the background right now because I'm still trying to find a good way to display it. I did have it in the background of that video though. It's such a weird thing. Like, Andrew, why would you spend a lot of money on a championship belt? Like, what are you doing? It's like, here's the thing: no matter how crazy other people think you are, the whole point, again, as long as you're not hurting someone else, the
Right.
whole point is to do something that's out there, is to make
Right.
those choices, to make a choice on a business or a job or a relationship or whatever it might be, as long as you're not intentionally hurting anyone else. So I'm sure that video, I mean, the comments were pretty good, but I'm sure some people watch that video like, why did this dude who writes about law of attraction has a championship belt that says the world heavyweight manifesting champion or something? Like, why does he have
That's
that?
so cool.
But it's like this was like this is the belt, like the a world class belt made by the guy who makes it for the biggest company in the world. I chose abundance and chose to be flashy in that way just because I'm rewarding myself. And it's a wonderful carrot on a stick as that extra little bit of motivation for completing these 100 days, which I will admit were grueling. I mean, there's a lot harder things in this world. I mean, come on, a lot harder things, but like just in terms of being creative, it was a grueling process, but I was going to do it. I was going to do it for my audience, and I was going to do it for me.
So I want to ask one more question about that because I think on an earlier interview when we talked maybe at the very beginning of the year, you talked about that you have a friend that you check in with every day.
Hmm.
I think that accountability partner is really an asset. Even if it's once a week, an accountability partner really can help people stay on track and have kind of a deadline before the meeting,
Yeah.
to get things done. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, January 8th will begin our fifth consecutive year of doing this.
Wow, I want
And we
somebody
do
like
it every single day. He's actually he messaged me already right today. I haven't messaged him back because I want to do this interview first. Um, sometimes he goes first, sometimes I go first, but without fail, what we do is we either sometimes we'll text it, but for the most part, we pull out our recorder app and we record a message of all things that we're grateful for. And sometimes we'll talk about stuff that's actually here. Sometimes we'll talk about future stuff, but we'll say it in the present tense. We'll mix it up. Who knows? But every single day, we re-record a message. It could be 90 seconds. It could be 5 minutes. We send it off to the other person. And like you were saying, there's an added layer, an added dimension of social pressure, but not to the point where this is inconvenience. It's just a little extra motivation to keep me on track. But again, I enjoy it. It's easy. It takes a few minutes. I personally like. I'm a proponent of scripting, which I define as journaling about your dream life in the present tense, as if you're already having it. But
perfect.
me, my hand tends to cramp up sooner rather than later, so I don't get a lot of bang for my buck. And I do so much typing so much anyway. So me, I do spoken scripting. This thing is my way of doing spoken scripting, where I talk about how great my life is. I talk
Oh,
about how grateful I am. I'm grateful for all the book sales. I'm grateful for my readers. I'm grateful for my customers. I'm grateful for the 5-star reviews. These are all things that are in the present tense, but also in the future. And I'm also, every day I say I'm grateful for the good news today. And every day without fail, I get good news.
wonderful.
This
That's
week, was my good news this week. Well, one of the days I got an email from you. Hey, Andrew, you want to come back? Like, yeah, that's good news. Boom. And sometimes I'm aware of the good news that day, and sometimes I don't realize it till the next day. But I get good news every day, and I express gratitude for good news every day. And I do this process every day. And the changes in our lives that me and my friend have seen in each other over these past 4 years, and we're about to begin our fifth, been unbelievable. He
wow.
saw the book from he saw the book from before I even conceived it. Like he was the first person I showed the cover to. I did this whole video with the cover reveal. I told him for months, I'm working on something really awesome. You're gonna love it. Because I began the process in like July or August, and I didn't actually publish it till November. I kept pumping it. And finally, one day we're on a Zoom call, and I shared screens. I've hit the video, and you can see a version of this on my YouTube videos. It's smoke and rumbling thunder, and the book kind of coming through. I just want to make this dramatic thing because I was so excited,
Yeah.
and he wasn't even sure what to make of it, even though we've been doing this gratitude thing every single day.
Uh-huh.
But like that's the level of enthusiasm I had. That's the kind of thing that you do when you're engaging this process with someone.
That's so cool. So how do we find someone like that?
Well, funny you should say that. I actually held a contest that I just concluded where I gave away a month of free coaching. I gave away, I'm naming a manifesting method after someone. I gave away copies of Gravity of the Cosmos. I gave away copies of Escape Velocity, which I only offer in December. And the thing was, if people, I'd say, if you like my book, recommend it to others. Those were contest entries, because if someone else digs it, now you have someone that's on the same page with you. And you're like, hey, do you want to try this thing where we'll just record a message to each other? So you just want to find someone that's already into it, whether it's through my book or not. I mean, of course, I'll take the book sale, but whether
Yeah,
my book or not,
yeah,
find someone that's into this and that's curious and interested enough that they're willing to do 90 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever recording a message, and just keep that up with each other. That you find someone that's already into it.
yeah. Well, most of the mastermind opportunities I've had, it's hours. It's like a 2 hour thing, and
Mm,
or it's like a coaching thing, commitment. And a lot of times it's cumbersome. So this idea of just a little recording, a check-in, basically, is what you're saying. It's like somebody else knows I'm alive and knows I'm doing this.
yeah. And I'll tell you, sometimes, Kathy, I say the same thing every day. And I tell my friend, listen, if you don't want to listen to this, please, I'm saying the same thing every day. But that's the thing. I mean, I always listen to his, and I think he always listens to mine, but it's not about the other person listening. It's about you recording it.
Right, right.
And sometimes, like, we've had situations where I'd get a message from him and he's like, hey, Andrew, this is my second message, because the first one went for like 15 minutes and I just went all over like, I went deep. Let me give you the sum up. He didn't want it because he knows I'll take 15 minutes and listen. He didn't want, he's like, here's the sum up of it. It doesn't matter. The real benefit was that he had the 15 minutes for himself. And I'm just
Oh,
an excuse for him to keep it going.
I see. Well, yeah, the accountability part of it is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I took a class for a couple years, actually, with this guy named Kellen Fluckinger, who is he's amazing coach.
Yeah.
And
I
he
know.
has,
I know him.
you
You
do
you
like,
might have introduced me because I did an interview with him. He's a great guy.
oh yeah, it's a results equation is what the his work is.
Hmm.
It's amazing. And I found I got so much done because it was like Kellen's watching. It really pushed me from talking about it. You know, you go to these parties at Christmas and people, oh, I'm writing a book. And 5 years later, they're still saying, oh, I'm writing a book. They can't pull the trigger. And who knows why they can't. But when I worked with Kellen, it was like, and and that's what I'm hoping that people will find with your work is that they'll start envisioning and being grateful for the part that they have done, and then more and more and more will unfold for them from bringing in that positive vibe, because we're the only thing that's stopping ourselves.
Yeah. And one thing that just popped into my mind, and like just you said, the book was a download. Right now, it's just a download. Um, when I was younger, I remember MTV had, I forgot even the name of the show, but they
Uh-huh,
had some dude and they had like a kid had a problem, and then like an expert comes in, like, we're gonna get you a prom date, or we're gonna get you that, we're gonna do whatever it might be.
uh-huh,
And they walk through this process for like, 30 days, which is condensed into a half hour. And all you see is this thing and this grand result. And a lot of times they drop the ball, but they make excuses. Who cares? We see things like that. We see movies that film for 2 hours, and our brain is receiving these signals of, okay, you do something, and then you have this grand result 2 hours later, and that's it. That's not life.
right,
Life is every single day, and just enjoying as much as you can, understanding. And I don't want to rip off Abraham here, so I'll say it in a different way. But you're never done with this. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And it's your obligation. You owe it to yourself to get the most out of it, and the way to get the most out of it is to not rush the most into it, but to ease your way through it and invite as much as is willing to come, and as much as you're willing to receive, because you will improve in that way. This is never done. I'm never going to stop sending my friend those messages. 15 years from now, I'm like, yeah, we're still doing it, because it's been working. Why am I going to
Yeah.
stop something that works?
Well, it's also the opportunity to look at life from um, the positive view, but not. It's not just optimism. This is actually the way it really is.
Mhm.
To take apart the concepts of conditioning and maybe socialization that we got as children, so that you're on guard all the time, or you watch what you say, to be really truly authentically showing up in service for yourself and others in a win-win. Like when
Yeah.
we first started talking, I was getting all these texts like, i'm I'm putting people together that I have no financial gain. It's that network of, oh cool, they're going to go do something together, right? And that's what you're doing too with your group on Facebook, and what you're doing through YouTube's, is you have no idea what your little contribution that was not that big a thing to you, what it could do to turn somebody's life around right now.
Yeah, that's the hope, and everyone with or without a book can do that.
Yes.
And to speak what you said before, I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, nor do you have to make up sunshine and rainbows,
Right.
but sunshine and rainbows will be there. Sometimes obvious, sometimes not so obvious, but more importantly, life will be there and it will evolve. And it's not something where you've got to, I'm not a fake it till you make it type of person. I'm an embrace it while it's being made type of
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I want to learn every single day, and sometimes my customers do this strangest things. And so it's like, instead of like, oh my God, I just go, oh, okay, I never even thought of doing things that way. Okay, let's see how I can turn this into something good.
Mhm.
And it always works that way. It's an attitude. It's an attitude of gratitude, and an attitude of what's next, the
Yeah.
excitement for what's next rather than the fear of what's next.
Yeah. And people are funny. The stories I can tell. I mean, I'm not sure how much time we have. I'll tell a quick story because
We got,
again, I
we
just
got,
had that contest, and I didn't say during the contest, but now that the contest is over, I had a big reveal where I sent an email announcing all the contest winners, and they said, by the way, here's a final prize. This is for all the people that entered but didn't win any of the other prizes. So
oh,
I never said it at the beginning, but as I like to under promise and over deliver, basically it turned out that anyone who entered the contest won something. I have something for them. Now, when I sent that email out, someone that didn't enter the contest wrote to me thanking me for the thing. I'm like, but it's like you didn't enter the contest. It's like, okay, you're
I didn't
welcome.
enter the contest, so I want to go back and enter.
You wanna go
When are you
back?
doing another one?
You know what? Well, I mean, we can talk offline. I'll give you the thing that everyone won. But I don't even know, like this contest, it was pure inspiration because my book turned 2 years old. I'm like, this is a fun opportunity just to use it as an excuse. Like, let me have a thing where basically the contest was take a photo of my book and you could text it to a friend, you can email a friend, or you can just share on social media. But don't do for the sake of it. Don't do for someone that doesn't like law of attraction. If
Yeah.
there's someone that you think might really get a win out of this, and any screenshot that was sent to me showing that was an entry. One person got 100 entries into the contest because she kept sending it to people, kept sending me screenshots. I'm like, this is awesome. All right. So
And
yeah,
that's such a clever idea. Well, I do think this is a great Christmas gift for people on your list, that
thank
yeah,
you.
that you really, really, I mean, especially now that it's hardback, it seems like it's a more substantial gift than the paperback. I have the Kindle, so I'm going to go get a copy in physical.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because I really think that if we focus on what's right in the world and what we can do, we can really turn this boat around, this ship around a lot faster. And that's what I think we came here to do. I think this is the time that we've stood in line to have bodies, to be here right now, to be vital and excited and be like children, as scripture says, be like a child. This is a time to be in wonder and be excited
Yeah.
about what's to come. And we're part of the creation of that through
You
gratitude.
saying that it makes me remember a certain of concerts I went to
Uh-huh.
where I got my way to front row, right?
Yeah.
Now, in order to get to front row, you had to wait there. You had to get there really early and you had to wait there, right? So your
Yeah.
back starts to hurt, your feet start to hurt. It's not fun. but then the lights go down and the band comes out and you remember that you signed up for this and
Perfect.
you were so grateful to be front row. You're the one that when they throw the guitar picks into the crowd, you get it. You get the set list, you get the drumsticks. And it's because, that aching back or the aching feet or knees or someone squashing into you, the little beer that spilled on your shoulder from the person behind you because they were trying to get a better view. You did that because you wanted to be front row center for this wonderful experience. And that's what this is right now.
So
We're dealing with the knee pain and the foot pain and the back pain, and we're getting beer spilled on us because the lights are about to go down and the show is about to go on. And we're going to be so grateful that we came here to be front row center.
exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So everyone, again, I want to make sure that you know how to get in touch with Andrew. What I do have the banner flying through, and I did put it into the comments. But Andrew, do you want to share what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, I'll make it easy. You were kind enough to put the direct Amazon link. If people don't want to type that, you can just go to lastlawofattractionbook.com. That'll auto forward to the Amazon listing where it's Kindle, it's paperback, it's hardcover, it's audiobook. It's also available in Audible. Or if you don't want to pull out your wallet, that's why I have the free content on YouTube. You can just as easily go to youtube.com/Andrew Cap and check out all the cool videos that I've got. Whether you're buying something or you're getting for free, it's just my sincerest intent that the content serves you in some way. And Kathy, thank you just so much for having me here again. I always love our conversations.
Yes.
I was grateful for the invite, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share with your audience.
Oh yes, and you guys really truly do yourself a favor and check out his YouTube channel, and then you'll know you want the book as well because you're gonna see that his Andrew has made it easy to understand and use the law of attraction. So thank you so much and congratulations. I wish you all the success.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Bye bye.